morning. Welcome to the broadcast today. Good to be back before you. Thank you for letting me come into your home by way of television. Thank you so much. Thank you for continuing. I know it's like a broke record, but every week I meet somebody new that's watching the program, and so I have to thank you too. Thank you so much. Maybe even some of the ladies up at phone company today. Bless you. I'm continuing on a message about fruitfulness, and I want to review just a minute and add just a little bit to my review. But as Christians, we are to bear fruit. Fruitfulness is always, listen, the fruit that really counts, real fruit, is always produced by the indwelling Spirit of Christ. And it is evidence of a born-again, yielded life. That's what fruit really is. You can't do it any other way. It is first and foremost for the Lord's pleasure. It really is. Think about that. It's for His pleasure. And it will also, go towards our rewards, and it will also feed and or bless people, but it's for Him. It really is. The scriptures teach us this. I think Jesus enjoys the fruit that we produce. And I think the Father is very pleased when He sees the character or fruit of His Son in our lives. Now, over in Colossians 1, just kind of in remembrance here, 1:16, it says, "For by Him," and that's Jesus Christ, "for by Him all things were created, both in the heavens and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions, rulers or authorities," in other words, everything. All things have been created through or by Jesus Christ and for Him. Think about that a minute. I mean, that'll change your perspective on life. It's not just about producing fruit to be producing it, but we were created for the Lord's pleasure. First and foremost, guys, before our pleasure, before our family's pleasure, anything else, we were created for Him. God, and I want to do another message on this pretty soon. We were created to be with the Lord. He wants a relationship with people, and it's from that relationship that fruit really is developed. Anything else is probably man-made and not eternal. So we need to understand that. We were made for Him. Another thing I want to say real quickly, where we left off last week actually, in John chapter 15, Jesus makes it very clear. He said, "I am the vine, you're the branches." It's not the other way around. "He who abides in me, who lives in me, and I live in him, this person bears much fruit," not just a little bit, much fruit. He said, "For apart from me, you can do nothing." If we're not plugged into Jesus and being fed from the vine, His divine source of life, we cannot produce any real fruit. It's impossible. He said, "If you don't abide in me, you're thrown away as a branch and you dry up. And men will come and gather them and cast them into the fire, and they're burned," which is the fate of the fig tree that we saw last week that was withered. So we're basically helpless to produce spiritual fruit without Him. So that's basically where I left off. We can't produce love, not on our own. I mean, we can love people, to an extent, but we cannot produce godly love. He has to produce it in us. He puts His love in us. We can't produce godly wisdom. We can't produce godly peace. We can't produce godly joy. We can't produce victory. We can't produce a thing unless we are plugged in to Jesus. And I didn't say plugged into a local church, did I? Now, I love the local church, but not all of them are equal. If we're not plugged into Christ, then church is worthless. Now, if you've got both, then that's great. It really is. So, I don't think we can have the character of Christ. I don't think we can have any real ministry. I don't think we have any real giftings. It's impossible unless we're walking in Christ. And Father is the one who has put us in Christ, but we must walk and obey and yield to that relationship and let it grow. Now, 2 Peter chapter 1, verses 3 through 7, we see some powerful things here. I wish I could just preach on this all day and may end up doing it. Seeing that His divine power, now understand, we have no power without Him. It's His divine power has granted. I better read this carefully. You got your ears on. You're listening with your heart. God's divine power has granted to us, every believer, everything, all things